the limited company is considering procuring a new machine that is costing 2.3 million. And so this is question number 2 of last year's 2023. You need to go through it and understand, basically. That's what we're trying to do. So there is the topic where you get this topic, this question, by the way, is investment appraisals. Yeah, investment appraisals. That's what we're trying to do. So now, this limited company is considering procuring a new machine that is costing 2.3 million. That's the cost. You understand? That is the cost, or in other words, that's cash outflow. Okay, cash going out of the business, and it's expected to last for 4 years. That's the duration. That is 4 years, at which time it will have an estimated residual value of 300,000. So this is the resale value. At the end of the period, you will be able to sell the machine at 300,000. Now, pay attention to the reading of the question. The annual units expected to be produced and sold are 120,000 units. The keyword to follow here is annual, right? So which means every year we are producing how many units? 120,000 units are being produced every year. Okay, we're highlighting some facts from the from the question. So the projected selling price per unit in the first year is 24. So first year, that's the sales unit, right? So if you want sales, the value of sales for the first year is basically the selling price 24 multiplied by the number of units that were produced or that were sold when 20,000. That will automatically give you the value of sales or revenue for the first year. Okay. And the production costs per unit at current prices for material and labor is 8 and 7 respectively. So that is to say, labor is 7, right? 7 is for labor and 8 is for material. Pay attention. This is material cost. Material cost per unit is 8 kwacha. Then the labor cost per unit is 7 kwacha. That's the cost. So in short, we already have revenue, right? So we already have data about revenue, how we are going to find the revenue, isn't it? We already have data about how we are going to find the cost of production, which is divided into material costs. Let me just write MC. We need to deduct material costs, right? We'll find the revenues for the first year. Don't worry. Revenue for the first year, revenue for the second year, and revenue for the third year, right? And fourth year, isn't it? Then we're going to deduct the material costs for the first year, material costs for the second year, material costs for the third year, and material costs for which year is that? The fourth year, right? We will go further and deduct the labor costs, right? The labor cost as well has to be deducted. So I have labor costs for the first year, labor costs for the second year, labor costs for the third year, and labor costs for the fourth year from revenue. And again, what are we told next? We are told that the selling price, this same selling price, it is starting from 24, but it is expected to increase every year, right? Starting from year number 2. So in first year, there is no increase. It will start from the second year to increase by 9%. So it will be increasing. So basically your revenue, your general revenue for the first year will be increasing by 9%. That's a message every year. It's still the same thing. We demonstrated this last time we showed you. So we are going to do that. So which means that the revenue that you have this year, for you to find this revenue, you need to grow it by 9%. Understand? Because the price, the selling price is increasing by 9%. And then the materials and labor is expected to increase annual by 7% and 5% respectively every year. Okay, the materials. First year, no increase. Second year, starting from second year, there is 7% increase for the material. So this one will be the way how it is. Then this one, you grow this one by 7%, it will give you this one. Grow this one by 7%, it gives you this one. Grow this one by 7%, it gives you that one. We demonstrated last time that that is just one and the same way of doing it. Then you do the same for labor, 5%. We want to establish the cash flows that you use for NPV. And then from there, you're told that the annual fixed overheads of the company are estimated to amount to 1 million after the investment, right? So 1 million fixed. This is fixed. So there will be fixed costs, and we need to, deduct the fixed cost, right? 1 million, 1 million, 1 million, 1 million everywhere, right? Every year is fixed, It has not changed with the level of production, right? Is it expected to increase? Did they say it is expected to increase the fixed one? No. Now, the management accountant has determined that 10% of these are directly attributable to the investment in the new machine. Listen carefully. The management accountant has determined that only 10% of these fixed costs are directly attributed to the new machine, which means the 90% is not what? Is not attributed to the machine, isn't it? 90% is not attributed to the machine. So here, since we are looking at the cash flows from the machine, we only get 10% of 1 million. That's what will be put in here. Only 10%, not the whole 1 million. Is that clear? We're not going to be deducting the entire 1 million, but we're just going to be getting only, 10% of the same. Okay. So now let's have the next piece of information. It says that the minimum expected rate of return by investors from the project is 10%, and the corporate tax is 30%. Now, for you to establish the cash flows, first of all, let me ask you if you are able to remember this one. Do you have to deduct the corporate tax, or you don't? How do you find the?
Ivera nipangire. Momwani funza Ivera pangi. Ivera kanipangire mwanchi.
Let us not take away that opportunity. That she wants.
Okay, let's leave this one. Opportunities. Okay, colleagues, my question is, do you deduct the corporate tax for you to establish the what's this? For you to establish the cash flows? Do we deduct the tax? What did I say? If you have been playing the sounds.
You deduct it from the profit that you find after deducting the costs. So when
the cost, right?
Then you deduct the tax.
Exactly. So thank you very much. This shows that people have been playing the sounds, right? That's good. So now listen carefully. This shows that when you do all these deductions up to here, it shows that what you have here is profit before what? Before tax, isn't it? That's profit before tax. Then from here, you deduct tax. You deduct tax from here, right? Less tax here, less tax here, and deduct tax here, and here tax. Then what you remain with is part, the profit after tax. This is what you will you know, considers the cash flow, right? This is the cash flow that you're going now to use for your NPV. Is that clear? I'm trying to explain it that clear so that when it is time to to do the NPV, it's not difficult. The 10% is basically the discounting factor that we're going to use to discount the, these cash flows. Remember, the cash flows are future cash flows, right? They're in the future. So we need to discount them to the present, get the present values of these cash flows. And then using the present values of the cash flows, then you will be fine, right? Write on the present values of the cash flows to determine the net present value of the project, and then, make the conclusion from there. Up to here, are you okay? Do I have any question? Oh, there is an aspect of the scrap value, the resale value. Okay. This resale value, we use it, is part of the cash flows in the 4th year. You understand? You'll add it to the to part of the the profit after tax for the 4th year. You'll add the the resale value, okay? Because it is regarded as cash flow as well. So you'll need to discount it. So we use it that that time when we are finding the the net present value. But as for now, we don't need it. Has the question been clarified? Are you okay? Do you now understand what you are supposed to do before we start doing what we are doing? Doing will be easy as long as you now understand what you're supposed to do. Have you understood? Do you have any question up to here? When we start doing now, we are just repeating what I was saying. Do you have any question? Just simply turn on your mic and, ask your question if at all you have any question. Then you'll be fine. Hello?
Sir, for me, I'm okay. I don't know the others, but for me, I'm fine.
Oh, okay. Let's assume that the silence means all is well, because the sir called out loudly for questions. He asked people to, to ask questions. Okay. In the meantime, we are okay. Let's proceed then. Let's just proceed. We are going to repeat the same procedure that I am just from explaining. And let's now determine the cash flows. Let's start determining the cash flows. Please be writing somewhere. In case I lose the network, I may lose all these figures again that we're calculating. So I don't need to. Okay. Let's start. We are starting from this 2.3 million. We just use it when we are finding the net present value. Remember, this is the cash outflow. So we don't need it in the meantime. Okay. So let's start from establishing the revenue. I said to establish the revenue, it's just the sales price for the 1st year. Let's start from the 1st year, of course. The sales price, multiplied by the number of units that were produced and sold at the same time. So we produced 120,000, multiply that by 24, and then you tell us the revenue for the 1st year. Do that quick. 24 to be multiplied by 120.
2,880,000.
2,880,000. 2,880,000. How do you write that?
880. 000.
10,000.
Yes.
Okay. These figures are already in thousands. I think we can just leave the 3 zeros on top, right? We already know all the figures will be in thousands because of You understand, right? So we know these figures are in thousands. If you want, you have space, you can write 1,000, but that will really be a lot. So put the 3 zeros on top. Now, to establish for the second year, is there anyone who is lost before we go to the second year? Here, not really lost, but who needs clarity?
Me, sir, I need clarity.
So I was saying we need to establish revenue. For us to establish the cash flows that you need for you to do NPV, the way how I was explaining, you need revenue to start with. You need revenue, right? This is the basic accounting that you did. From accounting, you learned that you need revenue, then you deduct the costs, and when you do all those deductions, what you remain with is what you call the profit after tax. Then when you have that profit after tax, that is what you are going to use as what? As the cash flows. So to establish the revenue, you just multiply the selling price, which is given in the question as 24, times the number of units that were, produced and sold, 120,000. Are you okay? 120,000 times 1224. That's the answer.
Clear, sir.
Did you get? Okay. Let's go now to the second year. When you go to the second year, remember, starting from the second year, the selling price is increasing, isn't it? It is growing at 9%. Now, I told you that there are two ways of doing this. If you want, you can grow the actual price.
Yeah.
You pay attention to this, what I am telling you,
Have you observed?
right? You need to pay attention to what I'm talking about right now. So I am saying that there are two ways of doing it. Number one, you can grow the price itself, the selling price, by 9%, which is 24 multiplied by, that is for the second year, 1.09. This is 9%. Multiply this, you're just growing the price. What does it give you? Grow the price. 24 times, we are growing the price by, by 9%. That's what we are doing. Guess one is lost.
26.1.
Yes, 26.16. Now, yes, multiply that by 120,000. The unit. Because this 26, listen carefully, 2616, this will be your selling price in the second year. You understand? Your selling price in the second year shall not be 24, but it would have grown by 9%. So it shall be 26.16. And multiply that by 120,000, and then you're okay. Then from there we can still go back to, let's go back to the other way of doing it. What did you find first? Give us the answer. What's the answer? 3 what?
3,139,200.
3,139,200. Like this?
Yes.
1,000.
Yes.
I'm asking, are there 3 zeros again at the end?
No,
Or it's just like this?
it's like that.
Okay. Crazy numbers, right? Let's hoping everyone is finding the. Okay, let's leave it like this in the meantime. Now, can you do this? Can you grow this same original one? 28, 880. We know that this is 1,000. Multiplied by 1.09. Can you grow this at that rate? And just get to find what you find. Tell us what you find.
It's the same 3,139,200.
you find the same thing. Huh? So instead, now listen carefully, instead of you growing the price, have you seen that the whole process of growing the price and again you multiply is time consuming? You understand? This first method. So don't go for this one because the time you have in an exam is limited. Go for this second one. You just grow this one by 9%. It's still the same thing. So it's easier that way. Okay. Sir, the understanding, your explanation is very clear. You are saying it is the, at what? It is 3139, isn't it? 200. Right?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's go to third year. Now, when you reach to third year, just use the same figure again. Can you grow this same figure at 9%? It will give you a third year. Grow this at 9%. Say 3139 200 multiplied by 1.09, like that. I think you understand the intuition. You get the point. You know now the reason why we are multiplying by 1.09. That is no longer a challenge with you. Okay. So what do you get in the third year? We can do this quickly so that.
3,421,728.
728. Okay. That's about that. 728. What about the last year? Grow this same one you have found now again at 9%.
3,729,000.
Okay, 3,729,000.
683.5.
Sorry? 60?
683.
683.
Yes. There's a 0.52.
There's a 0.5. So you can leave it at 84.
Okay, is there any question here up to here? Do I have any problem from anyone? Any challenge? What? Are you okay? Are you all fine? These are the cash flows for revenue. This is revenue, right? We have found our revenue. Let's go to marginal costs, isn't it? At marginal cost, sorry, material costs. How do you find material costs? I've moved the figures this side because of the space, right? Please understand. I'll use, yeah. Okay, anyways, you will be able to follow. So, material cost, how is it going? For the material is what? It's 8, isn't it? It's 8 kwacha and 7 for labor. So, 8 kwacha per unit produced. And how many units were produced? It's still 120. Because the question is reading that 120,000 were the units that were produced and sold at the same time. So can you say 8 times 120? What do you get as a material cost for the first year?
960,000.
960,000. Everyone is agreeing, right? You don't need to be lost this time around. We don't need to lose anyone because the time is gone to be lost. You need to be found as quick as possible. Time is going. So the question is that, are you all okay? Is the material cost per unit times the units that were produced? Simple. And mark the words that I'm using. I'm saying the units that were produced. In case the question that you have, they specify the units that were produced, or maybe let me say, the units that were produced are different from those that were sold. You have to understand that you apply that on the on production, okay? Anyway, you have gotten that one. Let's go on now to the second year. What do you do for the second year? You're growing these at what rates? At 7%, isn't it? Someone is saying, sir, where are you getting the 7%? Where are you getting? In the question, it says that, you know, the materials are expected to increase annually by 7%. And then labor is expected to increase annually by, 5%. Are we good? So grow this by 7%. You know how we do it, right? Where we're growing by 9, now you do it this same amount, by 1.07. Say 960,000 multiplied by 1.07, like that. You understand, right? You do that, then you get the second year work. Are you good?
1027.
Okay, 1027 what?
200.
Sorry?
200. 200.
Like this?
After that. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you now grow this again at 7%? And the next one, you
Next
grow it
one
at
will be
7%. What do you get?
1099.
1099.
104.
104. Let's do for the last one. Grow this one at 9%.
1176.
176.
1176.
1176.
041.
041. Like that.
Yeah.
And we close. Up to now, have I lost anyone?
Sir, there's a decimal. Do we round it off?
Yeah, you can round it. Yeah, you can do the rounding off, those things already. Thank you for the question. Let's go to labor. Let's go. Labor costs. Obviously, you now know what to do, isn't it? They are saying that labor is growing at what? At 5%. And what is the cost for labor? 7. So now, where you were using 8, use 7. 7 times 120 units. What do you get?
840.
Sorry?
840,000.
840,000. Can you grow now? Start growing. Grow this at what percent? At 5%.
Next one will be 882.
882,000.
Okay, the third one, grow again, this same one again. Grow it.
926,100.
9?
26,100.
Okay. 926. 926,100. Okay, the last one.
972,405.
972,405. Are we okay? Do we have any challenge, any questions somewhere, any problems, whatever? Okay. If you don't have all that, then let's ascertain the fixed cost. It is 10% of 1 million. What's the 10% of 1 million? Hello.
100.
It's 100,000, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
And it is fixed. This one is not growing.
Excuse me, sir. Come again on the fixed cost.
All right. Thank you for the question. The question is saying, Madam, annual fixed overheads of the company are estimated to amount to what? 1 million after the investment. So the fixed costs are estimated to be 1 million of the entire company. But remember here, we're just dealing with a machine, not the entire company. Then the management accountant, very sharp guy, he has determined that only 10% actually of that amount is directly attributed to the investment in the new machine. So as we are just interested in the costs that is attributed to the investment in the new machine. You get it, right? That's why we've gotten just 10% of that. Are you good?
I'm good, sir. So you mean we do 10% of 1 million, which is 100,000.
Yes, only the 10%, that's what we want, we are interested in. The rest is not attributed to the machine. Are you good?
Good, sir.
Okay. Now let's have the profit before tax, PBIT. I think it's better we have the profit before tax so that we don't have too much work to do. Can you do, now starting from the first one, you should put all the 3 zeros, right? 2880 and the 3 zeros in front. Then deduct all these that are in parentheses. They need to be deducted. And then you will have the profit before tax. Let's find the profit before tax now, quickly. What I find as the profit, or what I find as the profit before tax? What are you finding as the profit before tax?
980,000
For the first year?
for the first year.
980,000. 80,000. Everyone is happy with this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's go to the second year. I'm hoping that you are learning how we establish the cash flows, right?
Sir, I'm lost, I think. What are we doing? We are summing up the material cost, labor cost, and the fixed cost. Then we subtract from the revenue of the
Yes.
first year.
Yeah, revenue minus all the costs. Remember how we find the profit? It's revenue minus cost, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Right. You okay? Are you good?
I'm good, sir.
Okay, progress. Second year, what do we get?
1,130,000.
111.
Pardon? No.
You're saying?
113.
Okay. 113.
4 zeros.
Tuno, you log out and log in, right? You can't see the screen. Obviously, you log out, you log in. Is it the case with everyone that you can't see the screen?
You can see. Sir, we are
No,
missing
okay.
1 0 there.
You said how many zeros? Are they 5?
4.
But I think I've
yeah.
written 4 zeros.
I'm seeing 3. Okay, yes, there are 4.
Oh, okay. Let's go to the third year. It's the same message also the fourth year. What do you get?
126.
Sorry?
1296.
1296. Then what?
324.
324.
324.
Everyone happy with this? Are you okay with this?
We are still calculating.
Command the calculator as quick as you can. Remember, you just have 3 hours to answer 5 questions. So we need to move fast. To answer 4 questions.
It's one what? 1, 2.
Okay, just say what you're finding.
In the last 3 digits for me, it's showing 524. You've written 324.
So you find 524.
The last 3 digits. Let me just do it again.
Okay, someone now to also do 4th year, so that we move fast, you know?
Yeah, it's 524 at the end.
524. Okay.
524.
All right. 524 is admitted. Now the last one. What about the 4th year? Someone will say, sir, we are still calculating, my impatient.
4th year is 1481.
At what?
1481.
1481.
238.
238. This is the PBI, the PBT, the profit before tax. Can we deduct the tax now? Tax is 30% of this profit before tax. Can we do 30% of each of these? 30% of the first year, what do we get? What's our tax?
294. 294 000.
294 000. What about here? What's the 30% of that?
339 000. 339 000.
You said the 23 what?
339 000.
339 000. What about the other one?
Around 388 957.
388
957.
957. Everyone is happy with this. What about the last one?
Last one is 444
Mm-hmm.
37.
How many fours?
3.
444. Then
371.
371. Everyone happy with this?
Okay, my phone 240.
You're finding something different? Let's quickly reconcile the figures. Let's reconcile the figures.
Oh, okay.
Okay. What is the part? The profit after tax now. Just deduct from this one minus the tax. Deduct tax.
686.
686. You keep this one is very important. 1,000, right?
Yes.
This one is a cash flow. You need it in first year. What is the cash flow for the second year?
791.
Sorry?
791,000.
791,000. Second year, third year.
Third year is 907,567.
907,
567.
67. What about the last year?
The last year is 1036.
1036.
867. So when you add the 300, it should be 1336, 867. Sorry, 1336, 867.
1336.
867.
837.
867.
867. Yes. No one is lost. You understand where this figure has come from, right? After deducting then to the profit after tax, we added the 300,000, which is the resale value. We have restored this in the fourth year. That's what we have done. Okay.
Hmm?
All right, colleagues, this is what we have. And so have you understood how we come up with the last figure? Yeah? The fourth cash flow. Are you good?
Yes, sir. But remember that in the exam,
I should remember what?
not it's hard to remember that in the exam, but we've understood.
It's hard to remember.
We tend to forget.
Why, Muma Iwala?
Pressure,
Don't
boss.
forget. Suma playing a sound. Play the sound. Play the sound again and again. Okay. All right, colleagues. It's always nice to do business with you. Let's continue. Now we have the cash flows. I think you can pick it up from here, isn't it? If you have the cash flows, is it a problem to find the net present value? Let me just design it for you. Now, before we go any further, let me just make comments. Number one, apply yourself, apply the knowledge that you collected from financial accounting on how you establish the cash flows. You understand? Because sometimes you may even have other costs, other types of costs, right? Like maybe administration cost, whatever, depreciation, all those things. Just know how you treat them. You understand, eh? Remember, we are not telling you to memorize the questions. We want you to understand so that when the question is phrased in an exam, you can survive. Now, let's have the cash flows. It is now, right? Now the question is done. I'll just do the NPV. I think the IRR, you can easily do it. You can pick it up from here as long as you have the cash flows, isn't it? If you have been playing the sound enough, you can do the IRR, right? After here. Now that you have the cash flows, you can do the IRR.
Yes, the cash flows are always tough to find them when the list is quite fixed.
Yeah, that's why the star came here to this question again to ensure there is peace. He came here to repeat this deliberately so that people can remember this sound somewhere. Okay. Now we have the year. The cash flow, we discount this, we have the present value, right? So we'll have year 0, year 1, year 2, year 3, and year what? Year 4, isn't it? In year 0, the year of investment, we are investing 2.3 million, which is 300,000, like this, isn't it? That's year 0. That's what you are investing in. Then in return, the first year you receive this, right? Second year, 79, 1, 000, they said. The third year, 907, 567. And the last year, they said that it was 1336867. Now it is the way it is like the way how you know how to do it. You can even finish that up from here, right? Should we knock off? You are tired. You prepare for tomorrow. Let's continue. We are discounting it at what? At 10%, isn't it? You know how to do the discount rate? It's 1 divided by 1 plus R. In our case, our R is 10. So you shall say divided by 1.10 raised to the degree n, and our n in the first year, in year 0, it's 0. That will give you 1.00. 3 decimal places. Then in year 1, you just raise this to power 1. You know how we do it. What is the discounting factor? These are called discounting factors. What's the discounting factor for the year?
On the decimal places, doc has been maintaining 4 decimal places according to the
Okay.
tables.
Is it still okay? You could still leave 4 decimal places.
So for year 1, it's 0.9090.
0.9090.
9090.
As they have said, the second year, raise this to the second degree.
0.8264.
0.8264. The third year,
0.7513.
0.751.
13.
One what?
13.
13. The last one, the fourth one,
0.6830.
0.6830. Colleague, is there anyone who is finding a challenge here? You can just, give me a shout. I'll be glad to respond. Mr. David,
sir.
you're welcome to the conversation. It's a good thing to have you.
Sir. Thank you so much, sir. I'm enjoying.
Yeah. At Mlenga, at Bunch, what did you say?
No, it
It's
wasn't
me,
me.
sir. It's me, sir.
How to find these figures?
Yes, sir.
You say 1 divided by 1 plus R raised to the degree n, where n is the year number, all right? So your R is the discounting rate of rate in decimals. So we are saying that our rate that we are using is 10%, our expected rate of return. So you just say 1 divided by 1 plus what? Plus our rate, our 10%, 0.10. You get the point, right? In decimals, kind, the rate should be in decimal. When you add 1 plus 0.10, you should be able to get 1.10. Understand, right? 1.10. Then you start dividing. In first year, you say to the power 0. That will give you that. First year, you just stand here, you put degree 1. In second year, you put the second degree. In third year, you put the third degree. In fourth year, you put the fourth degree. In fifth year, you put the fifth degree, like that. The exponent. You okay? Are you good?
Yes, I'm good on that one. What I missed, I think, is where the 10% came from in the question. That's what I
here.
missed.
It says the minimum expected rate of return by investors from the project is 10%. So this is the expected return that they expect, not less than that. So we could use that one as our discounting rate. Okay? And now to find the present values, you just multiply the cash flow times, remember the first year zero is the negative cash outflow, and it is times 1, so it will be the same. 2,300,000, like that. What about first year? Multiply this times the discounting rate. The cash flow times the discounting rate, What do you find?
623,570.
Sorry?
623,574.
623,574. Okay, come to the second year, the second one. Second year. Someone to do third year, someone fourth year. We are a group work. We cannot be spending such a time.
Second year is 653,682.
653,682.
682. The third year is 681,855.
681.
855.
855. The fourth year.
913,080.
916.
913. 3,080.
Like this.
913,080. Not 308. 080.
You said 913, then
080.
Like this.
Yes.
All right, reconcile the figures. Then from there, if the NPV is easy, your net present value shall be the consolidation of these positive figures, add them, then deduct the cash outflow. Just add all these and then minus that from last. Then give us what you are finding. Do that quickly. What are you finding? Sir, you are not patient.
NPV is 572,083.
It's what?
572,083.
57.
083.
083. See a big number, eh? Everyone is finding the same. Are we all finding the same? Hello? Are you all finding the same? If you have same calculators from good and reliable source, should be finding same answers. And so what are you finding?
572,191.
572,191. Interesting. What about others?
Yeah, 191. I've just recomputed that. 191. That's 191.
Sunday, so then you say, should the project be accepted? What do you think? Anyone to just indulge in this? Chandamaika, what do you think? Sorry to put you on a spotlight, you know? What do you think? Do you have a comment on this? Okay, she's far from the computer. Anyone to just pass a comment? Do you have to go ahead and use, invest in this machine or what?
You're going to go ahead and invest because it's giving us a positive NPV.
Right. So the message has been, and I repeat, if the NPV is what? Positive, then you can go ahead and invest in the machine. What that entails is that the cash inflow, that is how much you get from the investment, is much more than what you spend. That's why you should go ahead and invest. But if it's negative, you don't invest because that entails the cash outflow is higher than the cash inflow. That is to say, what you spend is much more than what you receive from the project. But if it is zero, you know what it means. Anyways, this is about the NPV. Remember, positive NPV, accept the project, negative don't. Okay. Now, I know you are tired already, but it's okay. You are okay to be tired. That's okay. That's acceptable. Now, the question B was saying calculate the internal rate of return. Remember now, for you to, I'm just guiding you how to proceed from here. You already have one NPV that is positive. You need another NPV that is what? Negative. Follow nicely. You need another NPV that is negative using the same cash flows. So how do you get a negative NPV? This NPV is positive. How are you going to adjust the discounting rate? It's 10%. Do you increase or decrease? What did you hear in the sounds that you were playing?
We decrease. We decrease
Sorry?
the discounting rate. We decrease the discounting rate.
What happens when you decrease the discounting rate?
We're going to increase the discounting rate.
We're going to increase the discounting rate, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Why? Because I said, and I'm still saying, there is a negative relationship between the the NPV and the discounting rate. If you increase the discounting rate, the NPV will start coming down. And this NPV, since it's already positive, you want it to come down to the negative, isn't it? You want it down. You don't want it up. If you decrease the discounting rate, it will keep on going upwards, more positive, but we want a negative one. So you do the opposite. You increase the discounting rate. Try maybe at 15% or at 20%, somewhere there. It will give you the negative NPV. Then use those two NPV and those rates. The two NPVs, the negative NPV and the positive NPV, and the rate of return at negative NPV and the rate of return at positive NPV to come up with the IRR. If you have played the sounds enough, you know you're connecting with what I'm saying. When you get the IRR, when you get these, you can use them to compute the IRR, of which two we already have, isn't it? The one that gives us a positive NPV. We already have the R is 10%. The NPV is this one. We just need these two, the one that the negative NPV and the new R that will give us negative NPV. Then use the formula that I introduced to you, and then you can come up with the IRR. And so I said, the IRR, internal rate of return, is equal to the lowest rate of return that gives you, is it the lowest that gives you the positive rate of return, the NPV that is positive, plus let me use a NPV that is positive divided by NPV that is positive plus the one that is negative, and then you multiply by the NPV that is the higher, the rate of return that is higher. This is the higher rate of return that gives you a negative NPV, minus the lower rate of return that gives you a what? A positive NPV. B is the higher rate of return, this error that you find, which will give you the negative NPV. And the A is the lower rate of return that gives you a positive NPV, which is 10% in this case. Your 10 will be, your error will be 10%. And this tells you that your IRR actually will be above 10 already, because you know that this A is 10%. It will be above 10% already. Before you even calculate, you can even tell the answer. You understand, right? Because when you look at this formula, it means that here there will be 10. Then to this 10%, you'll be adding this parameter here. Now, if you're adding all this parameter, it means that this 10 will be already greater than what the costs of investment. The rate of return that you use, which is 10%, it will be higher than 10%. So since it will be higher than 10%, when IRR is greater than the cost of capital, what do? You accept the project. Listen carefully. When IRR, internal rate of return, is greater than the cost of capital, which is your 10% that you use to discount here, the one that you are using here, this is your cost of capital. If the IRR is greater, please, you accept the project. But if it is less than the costs, you don't accept the project. What if it is equal? You know what that means. Now listen carefully as I conclude. For conclude, I should. The internal rate of return, IRR, that is positive or that is greater than the costs is good for you because it means the project has to be invested in. Now, in conclusion, listen carefully. In conclusion, this is how we conclude. We are saying that the IRR and the NPV will always give you the same conclusion. I repeat that one so that no one will be, yeah. Please, the IRR, internal rate of return, and the NPV, they will give you the same conclusion. So it's not possible to accept the project using NPV and reject it when you use IRR. Just know that in your calculations, you have done something wrong. You have not heard that one. Internal rate of return and the NPV will lead to the same conclusion. So if you rejected the project using NPV, obviously, if you do the same right thing, when you go to IRR, you should also reject it. Now, it's not just the issue of saying, no, I rejected there, I should also reject it here. We are just trying to show you that as you are calculating, let the figures tell you what to do. But what we are saying is that if you have done the right thing, there will be consistency in these two. They are consistent. Okay. So you saw that in our previous when doing INPV, we accepted the project, right? Even IRR, just by looking at we could have accepted the project. Now you needed to continue and do the working, right? Don't just say things. Do the working. All right.
Sir, before you go.
Yes.